Prophet ﷺ used to sleep on a straw mat. And this straw mat actually left marks on his body. So then the Sahaba came to him and they basically said, why don't we give you soft bedding so that, you don't get marks on your body and it's easier for you to sleep. But now look at how the Prophet ﷺ responds. He said, I'm like a rider or a traveler in this world who sat under the shade of a tree and then got up and left. What that means is the dunya is nothing except a stop in your life. A lot of people tend to get into this mindset that your dunya is your life, that once you die, it's over. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. The true life is the akhirah, and right now, when we are in this dunya, it's kind of like a pit stop. It's kind of like a small stop in your entire journey. Now look, this is something kind of really hard because you kind of have to reprogram your whole brain to think about it, not that your whole life is the dunya, but instead that your real life is the akhirah. But the thing is, if you can actually do it, like if you can actually detach from the dunya and realize that this is not everything in your life, bro, your life changes. Real quick, my name is Halim. I help Muslims go from losers to winners. Subscribe because inshallah you'll get benefit. What's interesting is people get into this mentality of chasing the dunya because they think it's going to give them the dunya. Like for example, it might give them money or it might give them status. But actually, if you really notice how it works, it's kind of the opposite. The Prophet ﷺ said that if you renounce the world, then Allah will love you. If you renounce what people possess, the people will actually love you. What that means is, and you could actually note this, if you observe in the world and see how people act, you'll understand that if you detach yourself from the dunya will actually come to you. If you detach yourself from caring about what other people think, people will actually like you more. And it's such an interesting thing because it's completely counterintuitive. Like you probably wouldn't think that if you stop chasing money, you'll get money, but actually it's how it works. And I mean, actually think about this. If you're chasing something like happiness, for example, which unfortunately, like a lot of people in the modern world, like non-Muslims are doing, they chase hedonism and happiness. But if you're chasing something, that means you don't have it. So if you're constantly chasing happiness, that means you'll never have happiness. It's a very interesting thought, and it makes you realize that these people who are chasing hedonism and chasing short-term happiness, these people are actually the least happy. The people who chase discipline, the people who focus on work and things like that, these people turn out to be more happy. And it's counterintuitive, but in a weird way, that's actually how the world works. And now you might ask, well, how do I get happiness? Because of course, happiness is important, or at least some sort of fulfillment in life. Here's the thing, you'll always attach your happiness based on something. So for example, maybe you attach your happiness based on money, or maybe you attach your happiness based on friends that you hang out with, spending time with other people. And all of these things are normal. But the problem with them is that they're not always going to be consistent. For example, you might have months where you make less money, or you might go broke sometimes. Or hang out with your friends. Sometimes your friends might say, well, they can't hang out during this time because they're busy. And so the point is, if you depend yourself on these worldly things to be happy, you won't always be happy. There'll always be moments where you're not going to be happy because there are always going to be moments where you won't have these things. The real key to happiness is depending yourself on Allah. Because guess what? Allah is always consistent. You can always depend on Allah. Allah is not like your friends who are going to flake out on you sometimes, or it's not like money where you might not always have money. You're always going to have Allah. You're always going to be able to depend on Him. This means if you depend on Allah for your happiness, if Allah is the source of your happiness, you'll never be able to be unhappy. You'll always be happy because you'll always have Allah as long as you call upon Allah and of course do all your obligations. So look, do you understand how OP that is? If you actually depend on Allah and just put your whole trust in Allah, then you'll never be unhappy. You'll never be depressed. And so you kind of have to be content with the things you don't have, and you also have to detach yourself from other things. A person, for example, might become sad when his bank account goes down, or he might become really happy when his bank account goes up. But this is dependency. What a true Muslim should do is look at that bank account that went down and feel the exact same way as it would if it went up, and instead derive the happiness from Allah. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, everything is already written for you. Like everything in the world. Allah says that all your risk is written. Everything that you're ever going to do in your life is written. So why would you worry if your bank account goes down a little bit? Like it really doesn't matter as long as you have a connection to Allah. And on top of that, I want to give you this analogy. Let's say someone you know, maybe your friend or your sibling or whoever, is in a different country, and they basically signed a deal where they guarantee you have a Lamborghini in this other country. And this Lamborghini is under your name. It's owned by you. But you just can't have access to it yet because, it's in a different country. But once you go to that different country, you're going to have access to it. If you had this in mind, would you worry about your bank account going down by like $500? No, like it doesn't matter because you already have that Lamborghini locked in. You just have to wait a little bit and you'll get it. And this is the same thing with Jannah. You know that the things in Jannah are going to be 1,000 times better than anything here. So why would you worry? Why would you worry if you lost a couple dollars on whatever? Because the things in Jannah are going to be worth so much that anything here honestly doesn't matter. So if you understand this idea, you'll want to detach yourself from the dunya because truly the dunya is not worth that much. And it's unfortunate that so many people put such a high focus on the dunya when really what they should be focusing on is the akhirah, just from a return on investment standpoint. Like 1 hour investing in the akhirah is worth 1,000,000 times more than 1 hour focused on the dunya. And so this is a principle every Muslim should understand, which is that as soon as you stop caring about the dunya will actually come to you. And another thing is with this dunya thing is to detach yourself from your wins. A lot of people might get a win and they get really excited. They get accepted into this job or this program, or they did really good on this test. And what happens is they get so excited and sort of surprised that they got that win. But what this does is it actually kills your streak of getting wins. Because I want you to think about this. What does it mean to be surprised when you get a win? It means that you made dua to Allah to get this certain thing. Maybe it's a good test grade, for example. And then once Allah gives it to you, you're actually surprised. But you shouldn't be surprised because you made dua to Allah to get it. You should just expect that you're going to get it. And when you do get it, you should be like, yeah, I deserve it because I asked Allah to give it to me, and so Allah will give it to me. So you shouldn't actually be surprised by your wins. If you made dua to Allah, why would Allah not give you it? Allah is the acceptor of du'as. So if you made dua to Allah, don't be surprised if Allah gives you that win. Because the moment that you're surprised that you got that win, you're basically saying, I did not expect Allah to accept my dua. So once you stop attaching yourself to the wins you got, like the money you got or that test grade that's really nice, then you'll realize the wins come so much easier. And your du'as will get accepted so much more because now you're actually expecting Allah to accept your du'as, and Allah is the acceptor of du'as. So why would you not expect them to accept your du'as? Now, how do you actually detach yourself from the dunya? Because it is kind of hard. A lot of the dunya is very attractive and it's very nice. How do we actually stop that really strong desire? The way you do this is by remembering death. In fact, remembering death is the cure for so many diseases of the heart. But with remembering death, you're not going to really care about the money you have. Because when you go to the grave, you're going to have $0. You're going to have no status, no money, absolutely nothing. The only thing you're going to bring with you is the good deeds that you did. And so the more you ponder upon death, the more you realize, bro, this dunya is worth nothing. You're just a traveler in this dunya. And this dunya is just a pit stop for the true destination. And also understand the meaning of Allahu Akbar, which is something we say every single prayer, multiple times a day. What it means is Allah is greater. Allah is greater than this dunya. Allah is greater than the money that you might be able to get. Allah is greater than that amazing test grade. Allah is greater than all of your dreams. So if Allah is greater and you truly believe that, why are you treating the dunya like the dunya is greater? Really understand the meaning of Allahu Akbar and ponder upon the greatness of Allah. And if you do that, you'll realize this dunya is absolutely nothing. And instead, you'll focus on pleasing Allah because at the end of the day, that is what really matters. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Don't forget to not stop making dua to Allah. Check out Clean Islamic Studio in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.